Good morning, Facebook family. I am back from my sabbatical. A a wise mentor had me on a 3-day rest after my retreat, and I will tell you that there was just beauty, and there's still beauty because I'm still in a place of rest. My heart is rested right now. I wanted to give you and testify. I want to testify of what God did at this house this last weekend. I also want to give a testimony of how far this has come. Hey, Mallory. In a couple years ago, I was living in my in-laws' basement with my husband and our children because he was getting out of law enforcement and we were transitioning and we were looking for where we were going to move. And we didn't know that we were moving to Ohio yet. We were living in the middle of Oregon. And I knew that I was going to be living in a square foot box of maybe 10-foot box for 6 months with my children. And even though this was the most glorious, beautiful thing they could have done for us to allow us to move there, I knew that it was going to be a hardship. And God told me, you're going to worship me every day. And I used Facebook as an accountability to teach myself guitar and to worship every morning. And so I got my little video out and I would go out there in the middle of the snow and take my guitar and worship the Lord every day while I was living in that basement with my kids and my husband during our transition of our life in Oregon. And it birthed what you're looking at now, Liberty Healing Ministries. And it all was born on worship. And I forgot the main piece of my armor, which was worship. For so long, I would cast out demons and do this teaching and do this street ministry and do all that, and I would forget about worship. Thank you, God, that He would bring me to these still moments where I would get back to it. But the days that I forgot it, you guys, it was hell on earth. And I started to think, oh, it must be this. It must be that. I don't know why I can't get rest. Why is this backlash? What is this retaliation? What sin is in my life? And I came to realize it was just that I was forgetting my main piece of my armor. You guys, our armor is worship. See, when I was hiding myself in the cleft of the rock by worshiping God, during that season, no matter what happened, I was safe. I was secure. It didn't matter if I was in a basement with my children, living in my in-laws' house, which was a hardship for me at the time, because if you ask anybody, nobody would want to live in a basement. That was probably the hardest but most sweet season of my life, because I found the key, the key to the kingdom. I found the key of David in that season, which was worship. Worship was my hiding place, my refuge. It kept me from attack. It kept me from retaliation when I was on the streets and I was in my little white tent all by myself, ministering, sometimes by myself, sometimes with a team. It didn't matter. There was sometimes days where I would just go by myself. I would walk into the most craziest places. But if I went home and worshiped, I was okay. I didn't have to deal with the backlash and the retaliation and the oh my gosh stuff that our humanity tries to throw at us and our minds try and throw at us. I didn't have to face that. I was continually hidden in the cleft of his rock, in his presence, because I made worship my first priority. It was before anything else. It was the first thing I was doing. When I would wake up, I would literally walk up those concrete steps. It was literally a storm drain that I would have to walk over in order to get to. The door was called a storm door. And I would open that storm door of the basement and would walk up those stairs, and sometimes it would be freezing cold and snowing outside, and as I was playing, my hands would be icicles, but I didn't care because I knew that that was my weapon. I knew it. I knew that I could not get through that season of my life. I knew that I could not get through anything. I could not cast out demons. I couldn't do all of this stuff without retaliation if I was not worshiping. If I was worshiping, then I wouldn't have to deal with all this backlash. And I started to realize in this season, when I realized, what the heck, God? Where are you? Why am I dealing with backlash? What am I doing wrong? I started to get into this place of legalism, thinking that I must not be following all the rules. Am I sinning? Is it because is it because I did this? Did I say this wrong? Are you mad at me, God? Are you mad at me? What's wrong? Are you punishing me? And I almost feel like he allowed me to go through torment to bring me back to my worship. You guys, if we don't have a worship, we have no refuge. My worship, in all the different seasons of my life, I have moved 12 times in 10 years of being married. And I will tell you that when there was not a place for me to get on my guitar, if there was not a place that I had set up intentionally so that I could worship, I was gone. I could not function. But the moment that I intentionally set something up where I could just go, that was where my peace was restored. That was where the oil of my lamp was filled. I began to realize that I had to be intentional about going. I had to be intentional. You know, here's the thing is, if Moses did not go up to the mountain, he would have never been able to meet with God. And some of us don't even want to walk to our prayer closet or our secret place or anywhere, but he would walk up a mountain. And I thought about it and I realized, God, I don't know that I would even make the climb. Because I could become so lazy thinking, oh, you mean I actually have to pick up that guitar? I have to actually go outside. I have to actually find a place that's just you and I and make an intentional effort of worshiping you in spirit and in truth. That sounds hard. Sounds like too much work. But Moses made the trek up the mountain. And some of us won't even go 5 steps to our prayer closets. And I had a dream yesterday that somebody or something, someone was in my dream calling me lazy. And I started realizing I had become lazy in my worship, in my life of worship, in my life of going to the mountain. See, you can be with him all day long. but the intentionality of actually trekking up the mountain. And it will take effort, and it will take work, and it will take quieting the noise, and it will take putting the phone away, and it will take making all of these sacrifices to go up that mountain, wherever your mountain is. My mountain, thank God, is this entire property. It's been staked for the Lord. I have a mountain. I live on a mountain. Anywhere on this property, I can meet with the Lord. I know it. But I don't even know if I would climb up that mountain, if I would trudge up that mountain, because it would be so hard. There's a laziness. I don't want to be lazy. You mean I have to actually get my guitar, put it on my legs, and strum, and then work hard to put myself in a place? It just sounds too much, God. You're already with me. Why do I have to make that intentionality? Wait, you mean I have to go into my closet and shut the door and then get on my knees? But you're already in me, so why do I have to do that? And God, you mean I have to actually walk outside and shut the door behind me? But I can just sit here on the couch. I can just feel you here. Why do I have to make any effort? Because he asked Moses to walk up the mountain. Whatever your trek is, there's got to be a sacrifice. There has to be some kind of sacrifice that you make so that you can intentionally go meet with him. He wants a sacrifice. Maybe that sacrifice is your praise. That's the sacrifice. He's not asking for a burnt offering. That's already been done. But willingness and obedience sometimes requires you saying, okay, God, you know what my willing and obedience was this morning? I had to choose not to be a Martha. Here's a little confession for you. I wake up in the morning and I clean. The very first thing I do, I might vacuum my kitchen right when I wake up. I am a Martha. Right when I wake up, I take my vacuum and I start vacuuming crumbs and cleaning. I clean all the time. And God has been saying, Martha, be like your sister Mary. And I used to be the Mary. I used to be the one that was so obsessed with worship and being on the feet of Jesus and just worshiping him, and that sometimes everything else would just be last, and I didn't want to do anything else because I just wanted to worship God. But now I've been cleaning and cleaning and cleaning and cleaning and preparing and cleaning, and I want to be Mary again. So this morning, TMI, I woke up in a puddle of baby pee. My bed. And I thought, man, I have to wash these sheets right now. And God said, the sheets will wait. Come with me. God, I need to wash these sheets. I have to wash these sheets because then it'll come with me. But God, what about the dishes? I gotta do the dishes right now. You can talk to me while I'm doing the dishes. You can talk to me while I'm washing these sheets. We'll just have a grand old party together. God, let me just multitask. I'm so good at multitasking. God, I'll just feel your presence while I'm doing the dishes and while I'm washing these sheets. No. Come with me. Your baby's still asleep. You have no excuses. Okay, but coffee, no coffee. I don't even want you to depend upon caffeine to fill you. Let me be your source of life. I don't want you to even depend upon caffeine to fill you. I want to fill you. Will you let me fill you? So I said no to the caffeine. And I let my mattress have the baby pee on it. And I said no to the dishes. And I opened my door and I walked outside as the sun rose and shined in my face, and I felt the presence of the Almighty God filling me more sweet than caffeine could ever fill me. And then I walked down the path and he showed me my doors and he said, come. And I said, God, can I record it? And he said, no, not this time. Just come. So I left my phone and I walked outside and he said, you're forgetting something. So I grabbed this and I walked outside. And as the birds sang a symphony around me, I worshiped him in spirit and in truth as the angels and the birds and all of creation sang to him with me. And he filled me. And he met me. And he told me that all of creation is waiting for us because we carry his glory. The glory of God rests upon us, and all of creation is waiting for us to shine like the bride of Christ that we are. But we're lazy. We've become lazy. He longs to speak to us, but we're too busy hunched over bowing to our phones. And so when I was alone with him, that was the first thing he told me to put aside, was my phone. This last 3 days, I was told by a man who I know is a prophet, who said that God wanted to fill me, but I had to put my phone away for 3 days. And I was terrible at it. And he said, you can't do ministry for 3 days. What? But for 3 days, I got off my phone, kind of, sort of, mostly. I tried. And in God's grace, he still honored me, and he still showed up today and filled me. Can I tell you, ministers, that you cannot do this in your own strength? Can I tell you, all of you, you cannot do anything without him? It's the noise. Someone told me, you're afraid of silence. You don't like silence. Because when we're so used to noise, silence feels strange. But that is where he's found. Do you hear him? In the days of old, they did not have technology. They did not have phones. They had very little distraction. They could hear him much more clearly. We have clouded. We have brought noise. The noise, the chaos. He wants us to hear him clearly. When we worship God, demons flee. There's a reason why when David played on his harp, the demons of torment fled King Saul. We can sing songs of deliverance